Once upon a time, there was a beautiful princess who had been told all her life that she was ugly. She had been kidnapped from the palace of the king as an infant and was always looking into a mirror that lied to her. She had no idea who she really was. So sad and lonely, she married a mean little man that treated her harshly. After many years of pain and torture, one day, at the end of her rope, ready to kill herself, she broke the mirror and cried out for truth. The king heard her cry and sent his strongest and shiniest knight to her rescue. The king had been searching for her for a long time. The knight spoke the words of truth to her that she had so longed to hear. Finally, she saw who she really was and the wealth of her inheritance. Nothing would ever be the same. But she cried and cried because she knew she was never supposed to marry the mean little man. And the mean little man got meaner as he realized that he was losing his grip on the beautiful princess. He began to curse the king and the knight. He refused to let the princess go. The princess began to wash off the dirt and ash and darkness of her captivity. She got so shiny, the mean little man could barely look at her. But he would lash out at her sometimes, and he wouldn't let her go. He got meaner and meaner every day. But the king had a plan. He knew that the princess would fall in love with that knight, and the knight couldn't help but fall in love with her right back. She was the most beautiful woman he'd ever seen, and she was so shiny. And yet what could he do? She was trapped with the mean little man. There was a line that was drawn. No one saw it, not the princess, or the knight, or the mean little man. But the king had drawn the line, and when it was crossed, by the words and deeds and the blackness of the heart of the mean little man, the king would act. He had a plan. He was just, but there were laws, deep laws, about the nature of things that many didn't understand. But the king was very wise. One day, after dancing ever nearer and nearer, the mean little man crossed the line. And before anyone could even see it happen, the king himself came to that proud, angry little man, and the man knew that his time was up. He looked right into the king's eyes, and his heart stopped beating. No one was happy that it had gone this way. The mean little man had been trapped in his own prison of anger and bitterness and fear for many years. But the king had a plan. The princess was free, and the knight was free. The knight told her how beautiful she was, and how honored he would be to always fight for her and care for her. She already had his heart, and the king had already decided it. But the knight asked her to marry him so that they could be together forever. And the princess agreed. Before all the kingdom, the king spoke and said, "My daughter was lost, but now is found. This day I wrap the arms of my best knight around her, and I myself have put his ring on her finger. Rejoice all throughout the kingdom. This is a day of song and of dance and of tears of joy. What I have decreed will stand, and no man can undo it. There is much in the kingdom that must be done. May they go as one in my authority, and free all those trapped in darkness with all my blessings." And they went, and they found all the others trapped by the lies they had listened to all their lives, and were married to their own mean little men. And they freed all who longed to hear the words of truth. They washed the ashes and the dirt from so many, and found many lost princes and princesses of the king. And the kingdom got shinier and shinier as they walked hand in hand, and laughed and sang, and led those who had been captives to the valley of rest and peace and joy. And they lived happily ever after, all of them at the feet of the wise king.